Today on CityCast Boise, Chef Cal Elliott grew up here but moved to New York City to learn how to cook. 30 years and a Michelin star later, he's back in town with a big dream: to restore the historic Avery building, also known as the Bouquet, and to elevate Boise's taste buds. We talk sexy bathrooms, attention to detail, and are Boiseans adventurous enough eaters for Black Rabbit? It's Tuesday, July 18th. I'm Emma Arnold, and this is what Boise's talking about. Hi, Cal. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I got to ask you right off the top here, the Blues Bouquet used to be quite the venue back in the day. Did you ever go there when you were young?
I did, yeah. It was the spot where you could sneak in the back door. So,
oh my gosh, that was going to be my story.
Yeah, so, as long as you didn't order from the bar and you kind of like blended into a corner, that was the spot to go when you were in high school.
That's so funny because I was like, should I tell him that I used to sneak in? I mean, and I wish it was high school. Don't let my kids know. Junior high. I mean, ninth grade, we were sneaking in. Yeah. That and the Crazy Horse. You could sneak in the back door. And it was very rowdy back then. And I'm so happy that you are like revamping that building because I've always loved that space. It's so amazing and such a cool spot. Were you in love with it as a kid, or was there a reason you came back to it and you wanted to bring it back to life?
Yeah. I mean, those buildings don't exist. Like, these opportunities don't exist in the world. I mean, it's a chance to renovate a building to what it was and its original intention. It was a hotel and been sitting there vacant for 60 plus years, the upper 3 floors. And I love the west side of Main Street. I love Western downtown versus get people off of 6th and Main, like give them a reason to come to this side of town. So when I was thinking about coming back to Boise and leaving New York and just kind of looking around, I was just thinking, if I come back to Boise after like 30 years in New York, I have to do something that will keep me interested and motivated and inspired. And so that building does all of that. So I was really lucky to be able to purchase it. And then it's, been 8 years trying to get it developed. So it's been a lot.
Yeah, you're like me. We're part of this small group of people who, grew up here, moved away to a big city, in your case, New York. I lived all over. I didn't live anywhere classy, mostly like Gulfport, Mississippi and things like that. But you learned a bunch of incredible things and you really accomplished like some incredible stuff. Like you have a Michelin star at one of your restaurants and you were reviewed by the New York Times, and then you returned to little old Boise. And I'm wondering, like, what brought you back here?
I think family for the most part, right? My parents are in their 80s and they were great parents. So I feel like to come back and show them some love and, being away from them there was like a 10, 15-year period I was working so much, when you're in kitchens, you're doing 80-hour, 90-hour weeks that I didn't get back at all. So it's nice to be back in. And Boise was changing. I feel like it was kind of ready for something like the Avery. I feel like I want to bring something back to my hometown that can inspire people and has value and that other people aren't doing. And so it's just kind of kismet. Like it all kind of came together. Super lucky and fortunate.
That's how they get you as family. That's what happened to me. When I was 19, left and I was like, never coming back to this town. And then I was like, I miss my mom, and you end up coming back. Well, you already have the Little Pearl Oyster Bar downtown, but now you and your wife, Ashley, are opening the Avery, which is actually really 3 businesses in one. Historic hotel, totally restored, by the way, gorgeous, gorgeous rooms, incredible. Fine dining restaurant and a classic but very upscale English pub-style bar. How are you doing that? Have you slept at all in the last 5 years?
Yeah. Well, we opened Little Pearl when she was just about to have our daughter, Levi Rose.
Oh
so we have a 3-year-old. So yeah, we were crazy.
That's the only explanation. Yeah, all of that with a 3-year-old, huh?
And sleep? No, sleep is not something that I get to take part in too much.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
It seems like renovating that building, it's been super neglected, and I'm sure it has to be crazy expensive, more expensive than just building a new thing altogether. But also, it's not like common in Boise. Why do the hard thing here? Like you said, not many people would do that. They would just build a new space. But you are doing this really difficult thing.
I think you're right. Boise kind of always goes for the low hanging fruit. It just, you can see it with the architecture and the development. And it's always kind of the old boys club here that, sit at a country club and divide the city and are willing to sell it out to the first chain that shows up. I mean, I spent 30 years in New York, opened my own restaurant there. So difficult things kind of.
It's your jam.
Yeah, it's my jam. I opened a restaurant in 2008. So there you go, across from Section 8 housing in New York. So in Brooklyn. So, you can't come back to Boise and do something easy.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the two bars in the building. One is in the Avery restaurant and the other's in, is it Tyner's Alley? Is that?
Yeah, Tyner's Alley. So it's named after the Tyner family who built the building. So we kind of wanted to rename that alley because, that alley is where everyone goes from Neurolux to 10th Street. And it's like basically Urine Alley. They just go back there, You
didn't want to name it Urine Alley? You didn't think that was sketchy?
I think it was already named that, so I'm trying to rename it. That alley is going through rebranding right now.
Well, I know that both of those bars have stories behind them. Do you mind sharing them?
Sure. So Tyner's Alley Bar it's the bar that it's been in Boise for 120 years. It came out of the Overland Hotel. So it's a Brunswick bar. It's a Delmonico. So it's got its little certification. It was built in 1903 with Honduras mahogany. So that tree doesn't even exist anymore. So it's a true relic. And it was in a bouquet, the original bouquet before urban renewal. And then the Barrows, when urban renewal happened, they moved into that space, where it is now. And so it's been there since 1972. So it's been in that building since 1972. So we moved it back to the back. And so it's kind of like holds that back Tyner's Alley, which is, kind of like an English tavern. And then the Avery Bar is the bar that I had in my restaurant in New York. And I bought that. It's also a Brunswick bar. It's got a mahogany top, like 21-foot mahogany top with no seams, bunch of old cigar burns in it where you can tell that it was, super old pre-prohibition bar. So we put a lot of history in an already historic building. So I kind of just paying homage to the time and the place, and hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah, I imagine as you're remodeling, it has to feel almost like an archaeological dig or something, like as you've been updating it. Have you uncovered anything like surprising or weird or cool?
Yeah, I keep waiting for the money, to fall out of the drywall, but it never happened. No, there was just a few old postcards that were pretty cool, and a couple old bottles that, we dug up because we dug out the basement, but nothing super, super cool.
The rooms look so beautiful. And I did I read correctly that your wife designed them? Is that right?
She, pretty much everything she touched, every piece of interior she had her hands on. So she's definitely the one to thank for the way it looks. She had a vision, and as you know, it's like it's hard. You have to stand up for yourself. Everybody in this town wants to tell you that something's impossible or that it's too expensive or that basically just they can't do it, and you have to go make it happen on your own and let them know, no, we're not on an island here. These things are possible. They happen in other cities and they happen in other places. This can happen. So that's kind of how this project's been, throughout. When I bought the building, everybody told me that I was crazy and it needed to be condos or office spaces. And look at what happened to office spaces during COVID. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. I was prepared. I was going to tease you because I saw in another article, I think maybe when you first bought the space, you said that the bathrooms were going to be very sexy. And I was going to make fun of you for that. But then I looked and the bathrooms are so sexy. There's that soaking tub and they're just actually super gorgeous. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to stay there, even though I'm local. Have you heard that from a lot of local people?
We haven't gotten a chance to open and let people experience it, but I hope they think that. I think that Ashley did such a good job with the interiors because, the smaller the room, the more important it is that it gives you a vibe and a feeling. And everybody that walks through it says, oh, it doesn't feel like Boise. It kind of feels like you could be anywhere. It's
Mm.
kind of timeless, but also modern. So I think we were trying to respect the building, but also bring, some modern, beautiful touches.
Do you have a favorite thing that Ashley designed? Do you have a favorite like element?
I think all the hallways, like all the runners that she designed, all the carpet choices she picked out, and pretty much just the overall feel. I mean, I think she nailed it with kind of a modern elegance, a timeless elegance, probably. Like, so, you can't cheat that building. You can't fake that building. I mean, it's 120 years old. I think all
Mm-hmm.
these new hotels will say that they give a historic nod or do this or that. It's like, no, I mean, the building's 120 years old. You can't fake that. And those hallways are 120 years old, and you just have to show respect for it and try to bring them up to the modern era. So that's what we tried to do.
Let's talk about Boise's food scene for a minute. I'm curious because you were gone for 30 years. How has it changed in the time that you've been gone, and how has it remained the same?
Yeah, I think it wants to do things. I think there's people here that are kind of yearning for good food and maybe more diversity. Everybody talks about it, but then everything that opens is kind of pizza, burger, taco. Another version of a pub. And, how big a TV can we get in a small space or a big space? So, I mean, I hope it changes. It's hard to get product here. You talk to the purveyors, and it's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. No one really trusts the customer here, right? They don't trust that, like, if you do something interesting, that the customer will appreciate it and that there's a market for it. So everybody, like you said, everyone just kind of hedges their bets and throws kind of everything at a menu.
What do you think Boise's food scene is missing? Like, what would you love to see more of?
Well, I think just diversity, just, like some ethnicity. I think that there's no mom and pop places. There's no hole in the walls. Everything is just kind of cookie cutter chain, kind of the spaces too. You can't go to a restaurant has sexy lighting.
Oh my gosh, you and my husband are going to be best friends. It's all he ever talks about.
Some crazy lighting or some some cone light that's shining right in your face, and everything's too bright. And so I mean, anybody that took care in the dining room and also the kitchen. I mean, I think Boise's ready for it. I think people will flock to it, but I mean, I think they're intimidated, right? They're intimidated by a space that they don't understand. So if you build like a smaller, sexy place that has good food, they're like, we don't need big city in here. We don't, I think they almost feel like you're questioning their intelligence when all you're trying to do is offer them something different than what's here.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're all uppity about it. Like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, I was born and raised here. What are you, crazy? Like, I'm Boise or whatever. Like, that thing didn't exist when I was growing up. Like, you have to say Boise. Like, this weird localism is so weird. Like, I'm from the 208. Like, yeah, it used to be you wanted to get out of the 208. Like, what is this? You wear a shirt that says I'm from here. It's very strange.
So you don't have a shirt of Idaho is a gun shooting a tree, I'm assuming.
I don't have that shirt. I need to get it, though. I need to get the hat and the shirt.
You're going to be a real Boisean, apparently. Yeah, we're not exactly the most adventurous eaters here, are we? Are you going to like bring your menu to a place where you're meeting Boise's taste buds kind of in the middle, or are you trying to get people to be more adventurous?
I mean, we have quail, we have rabbit on the menu. We have a dry aged Cote de Boeuf. We have duck. All those things to me are super approachable, and they're hard products to get in Boise because purveyors don't bring them in because restaurants don't sell them. So that's kind of the challenge, trying to bring interesting product in. You have to be really aggressive and do it yourself, and it's cost prohibitive, right? Like, if it's not here and not accessible, then you're going to pay more money for it. And that's kind of the challenge for me as a chef and a restaurateur is, how do I create an interesting menu and have it be viable, right? Where you have to pass that cost on to the customer, and are they going to be able to afford it or want to? It's like, they pay a lot of money for a steak at Chandler's, but they don't always understand anything beyond that.
Well, give us a little tease here. What's a menu item that people can check out at the Avery or Tyner's Alley that you know they're going to love?
So in Avery, I think that we have a dish called Black Rabbit, and it's a rabbit saddle that's stuffed with rabbit confit, a mushroom duxelle, and then it's rolled and wrapped in bacon, and we make a gastrique with the rabbit bones. And the black part is we have a 52 ingredient mole that we serve it with. And then it comes with seasonal vegetables, kind of the idea being like what a rabbit would eat, So the whole dish kind of, I think it makes sense and has purpose and is delicious and super approachable for someone in Boise that's like, you're not like, oh, you're not eating intestines or anything like that, any offal, or you're not asking them to eat tripe. So I think that's a dish that maybe people could branch out a little bit and try. And then in Tyner's Alley, I think we have a full English breakfast back there, super traditional. Like, we make our own sausage, we braise pork belly, we have the beans and the HP sauce and the fried tomatoes and the fried mushrooms. So I think anyone that's been to England and knows about a full English breakfast can partake in the back. Breakfast for dinner. What's better than that?
Well, that sounds amazing. I'm wondering, you're talking about the lighting, and I'm thinking you're going to just have this gorgeous space with this gorgeous lighting and all this, this sexy, fun interior. But then you have Boise, and we're such a casual town. People are going to be showing up in Tevas, and the Avery is going to be very upscale. How do you think that's going to go? Are you going to have to beg people to put on shoes, or?
I think it's just the world we live in, right? I think all the kids in the tech companies in San Francisco ruined it for everyone. You know what I mean? We want to be an approachable restaurant, but our waiters wear ties. We're not snooty or anything, but we want to make sure that you're spending $30 on an entree. We should take it seriously.
Yeah, it seems like you have on the one hand, everybody in Boise always complains there's nowhere to dress up and get dolled up to go. And then when we have somewhere, they're like, oh, I don't want to put on pants. I don't want to get too dolled up. But
yeah.
One last question. Since you moved back, what's your favorite thing about being back in Boise?
Oh, just my family.
Yeah.
Just being able to sit in a yard and have peace and quiet and listen to a little 3-year-old girl laugh.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Like I said, nothing better, right? Can't beat it. Well, Cal, thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the Avery and Tyner's. Both sound incredible, and I can't wait to check it out.
We look forward to hosting you.
Speaking of feeding your neighbors, the Caldwell Flying M Community Fridge is full of meals and snacks for hungry folks in need. Stocked by Canyon County Mutual Aid, the fridge also has feminine hygiene products from the Boise Period Project, diapers, and non-perishable canned goods. Flying M co-owner Tori McKim tells Boise Dev that anyone is welcome to donate to the community fridge. That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, check out our website for our helpful online guides to the city. We'll be back tomorrow morning for a chat about Boise's best pools. Bye!